With the fantasy football season slowly approaching, it is time to start, doing your research. Start looking at who those guys are that you must have on your squad, right? And the Philadelphia Eagles are no stranger to having some breakout players on the offensive side of the ball. So today, I want to talk about three and an extra players that I think that you need to have on your fantasy football. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need these guys on your fantasy roster. So let's get into it.
You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. So today we're going to talk a little fantasy football, man. We're going to talk a little fantasy football. If you are looking to join a fantasy football league, we do have one for Philly the podcast. We have three, actually. One is a free one, and then two paid ones. One is a $25 one is a $50 one. I'll throw up a image of it right now so you guys can see it. But if you guys want to join, definitely just let me know. You can either DM me on Twitter, you can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be. Leave a comment, and we'll figure out some way to connect, and we'll get you in here, man. But I want to talk about three guys and an extra that are on this Eagles roster that I think are going to be locks for this fantasy football season. I think these guys are going to be studs. But before we get into that, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the family, man. We are on the road to 4K. We would love for you guys to join that ride. So let's hop right into this. Shout out to my girls over here. I don't know if you guys can see my geckos are now in the shot. They made it back. They made it back. So let's get into this, man. So the first person I'm going to talk about is going to be AJ Brown. Look, I think that AJ Brown is going to have a big year with this offense. I think there's so many different things that you have to worry about. His connection with Jalen Hurts is obviously something that we want to see, grow, and we want to see that become something that the Eagles fans can get excited about, right? Hurts to Brown is something that I think a lot of people are excited to see happen. Obviously, we have Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is a guy that I think is going to break out as well. I think he's going to have a great year just because, like I said, there's so many different things on this offense that you're going to have to worry about. So I believe that, A.J. Brown, having Devontae Smith across from him, having such a good running game like he did in Tennessee, and being kind of the focal point of this offense. We just gave the man $100 million. He's going to go out there, and he's going to be asked to do a lot of work. So I expect him to go out there and perform. I really do. I don't see any world where he doesn't go out there and give us 1,000 yards. I don't see any world where he doesn't go out there and be a big part of this offense. So I know that Devontae Smith is a guy that probably most people are going to think he's going to, benefit the most from A.J. Brown, but I think A.J. Brown is going to benefit the most from just A.J. Brown, right? The added, the added layer that you now bring to this passing offense with somebody like a A.J. Brown, I think that he's going to feed off of it. We've seen this team try to do a lot of, quick screens. We've seen this team do a lot of quick passes, especially towards the latter part of the season. So I don't see why that would stop, and A.J. Brown eats when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to try and get him on my fantasy roster. Now, number two is tough because there was a couple people I wanted to, bring up. I was thinking about this running back group, but it's so hard to say a running back group when you don't really know who's going to be the bell cow. And then Miles Sanders told us not to, draft him. So maybe we just shouldn't. You could maybe look at it like a Boston Scott. Maybe he starts, sniping a couple of those goal line targets. Maybe you look at a Kenneth Gainwell, and since he probably will be such a big part of our passing game, maybe that brings up his value a little bit. I'm going to stay away from this running back group. I just don't know who's going to be that guy. I don't know how much they're going to rely on the running game. Last year, it took us about 8 weeks to actually get the running game going. So will that happen again? I don't think it will, but at the same time, I don't know if there's that one guy that I sit here and say, he's going to be that guy for them. He's going to go out there, have a brunt of the carries. So I'm going to stay away from the running backs, but I'm going to go with a tight end. And I think that gives it away, right? Dallas Goedert. I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert. This is Dallas's first time as the number one tight end coming into a season. There's no Zach Ertz to worry about. There's nothing in the way of him becoming that number one tight end. I think that, Eagles fans and Eagles brass alike were really waiting for this. We were ready for this, right? We were waiting for Dallas Goedert to take over, for him to get the shine. Last year, you saw it happen. There were some drops. Because I know you guys are going to bring it up. There were a couple drops that obviously you want those back. But at the end of the day, he is a great player. He is a great tight end. One of the top, I say top 5 easily. I know some people will put him at number 6, right behind Waller and couple of different people. I put him above Kyle Pitts, and I think that's the main guy who they put at number 5. So I put him above Kyle Pitts. It is what it is. I think that Dallas Goedert's going to have a huge year this year, especially when you look at the guys on the outside. You're going to have a Quez. You're going to have a Devontae Smith. You're going to have a AJ Brown. You have one of the best running games in the league. You have one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in the league right now. I look at Dallas Goedert, and while I'm a little bit worried that we don't necessarily have a backup tight end just yet, if you look at the backup tight end, builds, a lot of those guys kind of look like they're mainly blockers. You look at like a Jack Stahl, to me, he's kind of mainly a blocker. Grant Calcaterra, if he can get on the field, he's a little bit more of a pass catcher, but we'll see what happens. I'm looking at Jack Stahl right now, most likely as that number 2 guy. I think he's more of an inline blocker. I think that's what they'll use him more so as. So I think if you're going with 2 tight end sets, you're going to see Dallas Goedert go out there and run some routes. So I really do believe that he's going to be able to shine a little bit more. You look at a Jalen Hurts who's obviously trying to mature as a quarterback. Most young quarterbacks, what is their best friend? The tight end. So I do not see that changing. I think that Dallas Goedert is going to go absolutely nuts this year. I think that if you can pick him up second, 3rd round, I think that that's a steal. I really truly do believe that. So we'll see what happens, man. I think that he's going to be one of our best offensive players in this team. On this team, I should say. I really truly do believe that. Now, I'm going to give you 2 extras, okay? These are going to be 2 honorable mentions, okay? I'm going to go, one honorable mention is going to be our defense, right? Because you obviously do have to get a defense in fantasy football. I think that the Eagles defense, and the reason why I put this as an honorable mention is not because I think that they're one of the first defenses that will go off, the board or anything, and quite the opposite, actually. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles will be there later in the draft, and I think that their defense is going to be a defense that gets some turnovers. Last year, we were able to see our defense score some touchdowns. We saw, Darius Slay obviously have a great year. So I think that this year is going to be even better. I truly do believe that. Obviously, you're able to get more defensive linemen, so that sack number should go up. Your linebackers are better, so again, that sack number should go up. Turnover should go up. Your secondary is way better. You should be able to get more interceptions, more turnovers, more 3 and outs, right? So less scoring, all that good stuff. So I think that, and even pass yards. We were giving up like a crazy amount of pass yards last year. So all that should improve. So in my heart of hearts, I think that the Eagles defense is a defense that you can go ahead and pick up again and feel a little bit comfortable that you can put them in, depending on the matchup and week to week. So I think that the Eagles defense is a sleepy honorable mention. Now another honorable mention who, if you guys watched the show over this past couple of months, I love this guy. We've had his trainer on, and I want this guy to succeed so bad, so I'm going to put him as an honorable mention, and that's going to be Quez Watkins. Quez Watkins, again, like I said, you look at this offense, man, there's so many ways that we can beat you up. There's so many ways that we can beat you. You look at the tight end, you look at the other 2 wide receivers, you look at the right, like there's so many different ways that this offense can attack you, and I just feel like having Quez Watkins as that 3rd wide receiving option is going to open up the world for him. I do not know who is going to guard him one-on-one consistently. Especially a 3rd cornerback or a linebacker or a safety. I just don't see anybody in this league that is going to be able to consistently line up across from Quez Watkins and stop him. I just don't. And maybe I'm being a little bit too much of a fan here, but I really just don't. So I'm going to put him as an honorable mention. I'm going to be looking for Quez. Quez Watkins is going to be that guy that I definitely, towards the end of the draft, maybe even a little bit earlier, after I get a couple of these mock drafts going, and I see where he starts falling, I want Quez on my team because I really do believe he's going to break out this year. If you're not able to get an A.J. Brown, if you're not able to get a Devontae Smith, maybe a Dallas Goedert, and you're sitting there late in the draft and you're saying, I need me a wide receiver, I need me a Eagle, I want me an Eagle, I think Quez Watkins is a steal. I think he's a steal. So I'm going to go with Quez Watkins as another honorable mention. Now, number 1. You know what I'm saying? Number 1, look, last year, we'll put it like this. Quarterback is the most important position in most fantasy football leagues. I won't say all because there are some weirder leagues. But in most fantasy football leagues, your quarterback is your main focus. You want a great quarterback, right? You want somebody that you don't have to take out of that lineup and he'll just go out there and perform week in and week out. Now, another thing about, fantasy football quarterbacks is they don't need to be accurate. They don't need to be, Tom Brady. They don't need to be Aaron Rodgers. They need to just put up points. If you look at Jalen Hurts between his running, between his passing, I think his passing will improve. I think that his running game is still there. So I think that he's a very, very solid guy to pick up as a quarterback. I would even say top 10 guy at the quarterback position as far as fantasy football goes. I think that just to add the multitude of ways that he can beat you by himself, and then you look at the people around him, you look at the team that we were able to put around him. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to have a great year. Last year, fantasy wise, he had a really good year. Second year in this offense, second year as a starter. I think that everything will start to click. Even if he's not the greatest quarterback in the world, even if he's not on the Eagles next year, or after next year, I should say, I do believe that he still will have a good fantasy output just because of those legs, just because of the amount of times we're going to ask him to be the playmaker, right? Just not only on scrambles. There's going to be designed QB runs. So I think that he's going to get a lot of points. And I think that he's somebody that you can feel confident in. Somebody that you say, look, I'm just going to leave him in there and I'm not going to worry about him. And if once he's on a bye, I'll get somebody for that. But other than that, I think that Jalen Hurts is somebody you can just leave in that lineup and not really have to worry about him. I'm going to go off the ledge and say that he'll be a top 10 quarterback in fantasy this year. Maybe even top 5. Maybe even top 5. So we'll see what happens. But you guys let me know. Let me know when fantasy football starts. Who are some guys that you are going to get from the Eagles? Who do you think are locks to be great fantasy football players? Let me know in the comments. And again, if you guys want to join that league, if you guys want to join the fantasy football league that we have rocking, or one of the 3, let me know in the comments and we'll definitely get you on there. But I just wanted to, kind of get this out. I wanted to let y'all know how I'm feeling about this fantasy football year. You let me know how you feeling. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly. And we are out here. Peace!
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for
Yeah.
you.
Fly